Just a few seconds. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your patience. Now we are live on YouTube as well. So the today's session is on strategic CSR, a holistic approach for greater good. So we have had very good response from the audience because being a very in-demand topic, and so a lot of people are looking forward to such a session, and we have been receiving such responses. So we have designed this concept and prepared this session for you. So as you all know, this is a webinar session, and so we have the agenda set in. The session will last about 1.5 hours. So we are preparing. We will be having the session 1.5 hours. So it will be closed at 4:30. We have chat and Q&A option for you. There is no video. You can't switch on your video or you can't speak directly. So anything that you want to communicate, please post your response on the chat box, or you can also alternatively put your questions if you have any on the Q&A. So Q&A will be open towards the end of the session. If you want to, put your questions in advance, so you may feel free to put your questions while the session is going on. So without wasting much time, let me go into the introduction of the session. So we are Balavikasa. The current session is being organized by Balavikasa International Center. So Balavikasa is a 40-year-old nonprofit which has done tremendous work in community development, which started in 1977 in Canada as Society for Partnerships called SOPAR. And in 1977, we have been doing work for the upliftment of poor. And in 1991, we started the organization called Balavikasa in India. So over the past 4 decades, we have been doing uplifting the communities through an approach called community-driven development. And it's headquartered in Warangal, and we have expanded to several cities and states. We have another vertical called PDDC, People Development Training Center, which started in 2002 from the experience that we have from the CDD for many decades, which primarily works in disseminating the knowledge to nonprofits across the globe and also to India, as well as to academic participants. And the current center, which I am representing, BVAC, which is mainly promoting social entrepreneurship and responsible business. The center is located in Hyderabad, and which has been functional from 2014 onwards. So we have 40 years of legacy in impacting and creating high quality sustainable development programs. And we have designed a highly innovative and result driven CSR programs, which have been also became role models for government as well as other CSR. We have impacted 6 million people in the past 4 decades in 6,000 villages across 6 states. The Balavikasa Center, BVAC, which is institutionalized to become a center of excellence in responsible business and social entrepreneurship, as I mentioned earlier. Through our PDDC and different capacity building programs, including BVAC, we have impacted over 15,000 professionals globally as well as nationally. To be precise, 85 countries we have participants from 85 countries, and they came and learned our ways and methodologies and approaches and went back and spread that impact in their own countries. So we have conducted many research and impact studies and developed publications for the stakeholders and knowledge dissemination. Apart from this, we also do consulting advisory and capacity building services in the areas of responsible business and CSR. So we do work with different foreign governments and international aid agencies in such innovative programs. We have received several awards. Some of them are from IICA, which has recognized two of our programs as best models. Also from ET Now, we have received Water Champion Award, and we are also on the boards of CAI, Telangana Southern Region, and also on state panel. Of course, also on Telangana government flagship program, Mission Kartiya. And coming to this series, Response Business webinar series. So the primary motive of this series is to strengthen the knowledge of ecosystem stakeholders through experience sharing from expert speakers, and also offering practical insights from these areas. The core areas that we are covering through this series is CSR, ESG practices, SDGs, social impact and innovation, and climate change sustainable development. So we have been having eminent speakers and personalities who have been coming and sharing wonderful knowledge with us. Through this series, we have two kind of sessions. One is panels and knowledge sharing sessions. So the current session is knowledge sharing session, where we have one speaker who will be sharing their in-depth knowledge with us. Coming to the response business and CSR, what we do in this particular area. So we have major four activities that we do under this, which is advisory consulting, training and knowledge sharing. So the current series falls under it. We also have research and publications and grant-based programs. So far, we have done many publications, as I mentioned earlier. So these are some of them. We call them social responsibility series and social sharing series. So you can freely download them on our websites. So these are the cover pages of those series that we have published. There are some of our donors, national and international donors and partners, including the corporate companies that we are working with. This is the center which we have at Hyderabad, which is very close to Outer Ring Road of Hyderabad, which is spread over 20 acres. So this is the campus which I am currently hosting the session, which has seminar halls, classrooms, boardrooms, and also residential blocks. So anything that you need to conduct programs, effective programs. So we have built this center and dedicated for incubation, CSR, and response business programs. So these are my contact details. These are the handles of BVAC on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So feel free to subscribe and join with us. We keep updating the latest programs on this. So on the right bottom are my contact details. So you may feel free to email me anytime you wish to. So let us go to the session. So where we are having Mr. Ashok Pavadia, Founder Director, the Council for Research on Policy and Governance. Is also former Additional Secretary and Advisor to Government of India. So let me quickly introduce our speaker before we get into the session. Mr. Pavadia is an academician, bureaucrat, author, and management expert. He is the Founder Director of Council for Research on Policy and Governance, which is a non-profit think tank and research organization. Besides, he is an independent director on the board of two private aviation companies. He sits on the governing board of the registered valuer organization of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. He is a mentor and lead expert at the Center for Sustainability and CSR, IMT Hyderabad, and the chief advisor to Chanakya School of Public Policy and Management, Mallareddy University. He is also the principal and strategy advisor to the board of several companies. Starting his career as a lecturer at the University of Delhi, he later joined bureaucracy and held important positions in several ministries in the Government of India. In his last assignment, he has served as private secretary to two union ministers in the Ministry of Home Affairs. An alumnus of University of London, Harvard University, the Royal Institute of Public Administration, University of Delhi, and the Indian Law Institute Delhi. He has majored in political science, law, public policy, and management with 2 bachelor degrees, 2 master degrees, and a postgraduate diploma. His expertise is in corporate governance, sustainable development, and CSR, and his research work in these subjects span over a decade. He has worked closely with several UN and other international agencies, government and non-governmental bodies, universities, associations, and many organizations to analytically review the emerging challenges in the areas of his domain expertise. He is the visiting guest faculty at several reputed academic and management institutes and has been the chief guest and keynote speaker at more than 100 conferences and conclaves on the theme of CSR. He has been on the governmental advisory group of GRI and Governing Council of the Institute of Public Enterprise, Hyderabad. He has done pioneering work in the propagation and evaluation of the concept of CSR in the country, and is the author of the Guidelines on CSR and Sustainability for Central PSUs, issued by Department of Public Enterprise during his tenure as Joint Secretary in that department. So very warm welcome, sir. So we are very glad to have you here, and it's a privilege to have you with us today. So before I hand over to you, let me just uh, give a brief introduction about what is this all about, why we are talking about strategic CSR. So we all know CSR has been there for very long, and philanthropy, charity has been in existence, as far as the time we know and we are aware of. But over a period of time, we have been seeing that it is evolving. It's evolving for better. And as the corporates came in, the CSR become more and more prominent, and it has become an integral part of the operations of many companies. So as a result, more and more companies started recognizing this as a strategy than a checkbox item. And for us as CSR and sustainability professionals, it is very important to understand why we need to integrate these elements into the core business strategies and operations, so that it will not become a separate matter of concern, but it becomes as part of core operations, and which will become a seamless activity, of our day-to-day affairs, instead of doing it maybe at the end of the year. So with that, with that context, with that background, so let us listen to our wonderful speaker, Mr. Ashok Pavadia, today, to understand this concept of strategic CSR and why we need to, adopt and practice strategic CSR. So for overall betterment of the society and with a benefit to all the stakeholders. So over to you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
I cannot appear on the screen. I think you switched it off.
Yes, I think there is some issue.
Yeah, you established the content.
Okay.
Am I visible?
No, sir. Can you please try once again, switching off your camera and on?
It says that the host has stopped my video.
Okay. Okay, just let me try if there is any option. Please try now, sir.
No.
Okay.
Same remark.
Yes.
Yes, I think yes. Am I visible now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are visible. Please.
Can I start now?
Yeah.
Thank you, Vijay, for introducing me, and thank you for having me here on this webinar. And now, the topic of today's discussion is strategic CSR. Let me, at the very outset, qualify, as I often do, that there is a qualitative difference in the way we practice CSR in India and the way CSR is perceived worldwide, especially in the developed economies like European countries or the USA or the OECD countries. It is important to keep this distinction in mind whenever we initiate any discussion on any aspect of CSR. And that applies to today's topic as well, that is strategic CSR. Before I start, or before I go ahead, I believe, or I hope, that the participants in today's seminar or webinar, they have some basic understanding of the concept of CSR. That is very important, because if I start delving into the basics of CSR, it will take a long time, and I will not be able to cover the core topic of strategic CSR. So with this assumption, I go ahead that everybody is familiar with the concept of CSR. Now, there is a plethora of literature on CSR and its multifarious aspects and dimensions. But a large majority or a large amount of this literature is authored by foreign experts, foreign scholars, and practitioners on this subject. So when we talk of strategic CSR also, one has to invariably refer to names like Michael Porter, Mark Kramer, Kasturi Rangan, because they are eminent professors of the Harvard Business School who have written extensively on the subject of strategic CSR. We have Indian authors too, but they're not very many. And the basic understanding about strategic CSR actually comes from the writings of these foreign authors. Incidentally, I happen to know these professors personally because I've interacted with them on several occasions. Their theories have immense merit and they are of immense practical value, but they are not fully applicable to the Indian scenario. And this is something I have very candidly and openly said whenever they have invited me to speak in their forum. But for any understanding of strategic CSR, we will have to refer to their writings and to their concepts and their theories. I would say that it is important for us also to make a distinction not only between what they perceive as strategic CSR, but what they think of CSR. According to the international perspective of CSR, it is something which is embedded in the company's vision and mission statements. And it is also demonstrated in all the business activities and operations of a company. CSR is actually seen as a company's endeavor to pursue the triple bottom line. That is, all the three Ps, profits, people, and planet, in business operations at all times. Companies operating in these developed economies, the Western countries, particularly the OECD countries, and also good multinational companies having their operations in various parts of the world, they generally discharge their corporate social responsibility in several forms, all under a very wide CSR portfolio. And it is important to remember that the CSR, according to them, is something which is anchored in the responsible business conduct with the adoption of ethical, transparent, and accountable business practices. CSR is something, which prompts leveraging of technology, innovation, creativity, and introducing sustainable practices for productions of goods and services which are cost-effective, user and eco-friendly, and which are produced and consumed and finally disposed in a way that is least detrimental to economy or to the society or to the environment. CSR actually embraces all the operations of a company. And CSR policies and practices of business, they actually touch upon the profits of a company as well. Business initiatives have to be such that they fetch profits for a company in the pursuit of social and environmental good. At the same time, CSR in these countries, in these advanced countries, it is also often peppered with philanthropic gestures, philanthropic works, and corporate donations whenever situations require that to be done. According to the international perspective, again, practicing CSR strategically involves finding the right permutation and combination of all these forms, not any single form, but all these forms, and using that for deriving the maximum good for all the stakeholders, that is the company, the society, the economy, the environment. In short, my short point is strategic approach or strategic CSR lies in discharging corporate social responsibility in such a way that it benefits society and the environment, of course, and it also benefits the business of the company. Now, in a higher elevated form of strategic CSR, it evolves into a business transformation model. Better still, it then evolves into social enterprises, social entrepreneurship. It involves into social investments in business. But when we talk of this business transformation model, we are actually talking of doing a careful life cycle thinking assessment of all the stages through which a product or service goes through, so that the whole business can be redesigned, can be done differently in such a way that the harmful effects on society and environment are minimized and maximum profit gains accrue to the company. We will, of course, not go into the business transformation model or the social enterprises, because that is a different discipline altogether. It requires more time. And I hope that you take up this subject later on in one of your webinars, or maybe it's already been covered in one of these webinars earlier, of which I'm not aware of. So we will confine our discussion only to strategic CSR. Now, strategic CSR, as I said, means going beyond corporate contributions or philanthropic work for social and community welfare. It also goes beyond corporate efforts to minimize potentially harmful environmental impact of business operations through adoption of sustainability practices. Strategic CSR essentially aims at transforming the conventional way of doing business and instead adopting innovative methods or techniques and new initiatives that strengthens the business's competitive position vis-a-vis its rivals, while providing noticeable benefits to society and environment. So it positions a company very strategically in a very competitive position vis-a-vis its rivals. Therefore, or rather because strategic CSR programs are designed to generate profit, they are very appealing to the business leaders, because businesses also generate a lot of profits to the CSR initiatives. At the same time, they do a lot of good for the environment and society. If you were to take out the profits from the CSR initiatives, then business may not be so much interested in pursuing CSR activities. And now CSR activities or strategic CSR initiatives or activities are specific to each company's business profile and its core competence. There is no best model. You can't have a straitjacket approach, because they all vary from company to company, depending upon their business profile, depending upon their core competences, depending upon who their key stakeholders are. So it's all dependent on that. Moreover, it can be said generally that from experience and from the research and various studies which have been conducted in the past, that the most successful strategic CSR initiatives have been on the basis of certain principles, or shall I say, they have certain basic features. Basic features of strategic CSR are, for example, that they are core to the business strategy. They leverage full power of the core business resources, assets, and its capabilities. And they benefit both business and society. And when I say society, it includes environment also. This can be best explained through examples of companies pursuing CSR, strategic CSR. But I must, before I give these examples, I have various examples to give, various case studies to refer to. But I must say that strategic CSR practices are relatively uncommon in the developing markets in countries like India, because they are still focused on different issues pertaining to community welfare, social welfare, or environment protection. And many things which are core to a strategic CSR are missing from their CSR initiatives. Yet some enlightened companies, big companies, having visionary leaderships in India, like ITC, for example. I'll give the example very soon of this company. They are pursuing this strategy of strategic CSR. Even then, strategic CSR at this stage is not very widespread in our country. I differ with the gentleman who introduced the topic, Mr. Vijay, that the companies are doing so. No, I differ with him. This is not widespread. Only a few companies are doing it, and they are the exceptions. But yes, it is gradually being recognized by business leaders as a very vital tool for promotion of business, for ensuring growth of business, for business development. One of the examples I would like to give, which is a very favorite one, which is given by the Harvard economists, also frequently cited in their Harvard Business Review literature also, is of Cisco Networking Academy. This should explain what we mean by strategic CSR. Now, Cisco, as you know, as many of you would be knowing, is a designer and seller of consumer electronics and networking equipment and technology. Like, for example, you have these routers used to connect computers to internet. Now, they haven't been in this business since very long now, and they have been engaged in a lot of CSR, strategic CSR programs. But their flagship program, of course, has been this Cisco Network Academy, which was founded in 1997, I think, 1997. And the background to this is that that was the time when the use of internet was expanding in a major way all across the globe. But there was a huge shortage of network administrators or network experts, which was the stumbling block in the growth of the business of Cisco. They realized that they could not expand their business beyond certain limits because experts were not available in this field. Therefore, as a part of the CSR strategy, strategic CSR strategy, they started providing free distribution of network equipment to schools. And they started free training of the teachers also, and teaching them how to build, design, maintain these computer networks. It was all done free. Another step which they took was that, seeing the popularity of their program, they also designed and started a web-based distance learning curriculum. They went ahead, even beyond this step. They established the Cisco Network Academy with the objective of enrolling these low-income and jobless youth. And they started giving them, imparting them computer skills, in networking skills, in computers. This was all done free, all done free. They were actually preparing a large workforce of people who were trained in this networking and operations of computers. Now, the purpose was that if they train these people, if they have a trained youth workforce ready, they could be engaged or employed in their own organization. But of course, it was not a compulsion for the trained youth to join Cisco. No, they were given the option to join any company they wanted. But Cisco was one of the contenders for their employment. But the program became so popular that it actually eventually spread to more than, I think, 170 countries, including India. It came to India too. And the unique selling point of this program was, and what it made it strategic, that the specialization which they gave to these, in the training to these youth, and in the course curriculum which they designed, was very closely and tightly linked with the Cisco's products. So they were actually training them to work with those Cisco products. They never said so, but the technological refinements of the course was such that they used to come more handy for using these Cisco products. And now, so successful was this program that the US government also partnered with Cisco. And they pushed and promoted this program in schools, which they call the empowerment zones, for these weaker sections. US government partnered. Then the United Nations also partnered with this Cisco. And they helped in expanding these programs to developing countries, because internet was coming in a big way. Computer applications was very much coming in vogue. So United Nations also partnered. As a result of this initiative, Millions of youth, millions of students were trained in this program of Cisco. It dramatically improved their job prospects. They got employment and they got good, handsome salaries or income sources. In the process, the society stood to benefit from the Cisco's initiative of CSR. But Cisco also benefited immensely. More than the society, Cisco stood to benefit. It earned billions and billions of dollars through the sale of its products and its expanded markets, new markets. In addition, it got recognition from the government. It earned the goodwill of the society. It won the appreciation of its own employees and won their loyalty. And Cisco became a leader in CSR initiatives, in philanthropy. Other countries also thereafter, seeing the success of this program, the strategic CSR program of Cisco, they also joined the bandwagon, like HP and Abode system. They also supplemented the efforts of the Cisco Academy. Now, but the youth who were trained under this program naturally gave preference to Cisco when it came to seeking employment, because they owed greater allegiance to Cisco than to the other countries, because they were the leaders, they were the ones who had started this program. So although it was not confined to Cisco's organization only, it was thrown open to the youth to join any organization they wanted. But the maximum gain from this CSR effort or initiative was Cisco. So this is one example of strategic CSR, doing something good for the society, but also reaping benefits. Now, they were clearly making a lot of profits from this initiative. Then I can give you some other examples also. This was regarding how a company benefited society and also benefited the company itself. Let's talk about the environment. How can you do something for the environment and benefit the company also? The other example which I wish to give is of Walmart, the American retail giant. I am hugely impressed with the way Walmart functions. I mean, it does fantastic work for society and for environment. I appreciate its business model. It conducts its business in a very responsible manner, responsible conduct of business, and it adheres to all these ethical guidelines and transparency and accountability in its operations. So there are many other aspects which I will not touch upon right now, but I'll give you just one example of Walmart. Now, in the last century, there was a lot of noise being made, and of course now, it is reached a crescendo about climate change issues and environment protection. But this noise was, there in the as a retailer. Now, Walmart and environmental sustainability, and something about it.
I think we lost our speaker from the session. So just give us a minute. Mr. Ashok is joining in few seconds. Please bear with us. There's still some issue. Please give us 2 minutes. Sorry for the interruption.
Hello, Vijay, can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Please.
Switch on my video and switch off
Just,
from.
just a second. Please try now, sir. So can you hear me? Hello, Ashok ji.
Yes. Can you see me now? Am I
Not it's
audible?
Yeah, you're audible. You're audible. Yeah, visible too. Visible too. Yes.
Visible too. Okay. Yes. 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 I'm sorry for this glitch, but these are some of the limitations of technology, you know. Anyway, let me try to make up for the lost minutes. So I was telling you about Walmart. So Walmart focused on its logistic operations, and it was concerned about the carbon emissions from its logistic operations. So they tried to do something about this. They rationalized their delivery routes and their delivery points and their retail distribution network in such a way that it reduced the annual distance covered by the hello.
Sir, we can hear you now. We also lost again. Yes. Now it's better. Yeah.
We have lost again
Maybe you may switch off the video because maybe it's taking a lot of bandwidth. Yeah.
As I was saying, okay, shall I switch off the video then?
Yes, sir. I see that's the only option because otherwise it's not.
Is it any better?
Yeah, it's better. We can hear now. Hello.